Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at 10 different online jobs that you can get in 2022 even if you're still a high school or a college student. Now you can do this even if you're a student. All of the jobs that I'm going to mention can realistically pay $15 or more an hour, just really depending on how experienced you are with this and your attention to detail. So for most of the jobs that I'm going to mention, I would recommend using a platform like Upwork. And this is not sponsored in any way, but with Upwork you can actually look through jobs that people have already posted who are actively looking for help with their projects. You could also use something like Fiverr, but I tend to find that with Fiverr it's really built more for people looking for freelancers rather than the other way around. Upwork gets both ways. There are tons of different platforms out there, but that is just the one I think is the easiest to get started with. We'll start off with the jobs on the list that requires the lowest skill level, that would be data entry. So with data entry, this can be a variety of different things. It could be taking someone's PDF document and transferring it to a Word. It could be transferring data into an Excel spreadsheet. It could even be writing product listings or transferring products from online store to another online store. So typically with data entry, you don't really need experience in anything, but you will need to have high attention to detail, especially if you are copying over important financial numbers or product names, things like that. It usually needs to match exactly what the client is giving you. So it's super important that you are able to actually take data and make sure that it is exactly the same when you are transferring it wherever it needs to go. So even with data entry jobs, I would like to look on somewhere like Upwork. First, there's also something called Amazon Mechanical Turk, but I find that that's really just a ripoff. You barely make any money off it. People who are posting on there don't really want to pay for quality work, so going with Upwork, you're going to get a better rate and you're going to be able to charge $15 or more. It's really your own rate and your charge. What you want the next job would be good for pretty much anyone from their early teens or their late 20s would be a social media manager. Now, I use the word manager in the quotes because there are a lot of courses and just spammy looking things out there where people are like, I'll teach you to be a social media manager for only $2,000 a week and you will make $10,000 a week. No, don't do that, but you can make money managing people's social media accounts, and usually this is going to be an influencer, someone who's trying to become an influencer or some sort of brand or e-commerce store. But you could even do this for local businesses like different restaurants, or maybe like a dentist or a chiropractor that wants to post on social media but doesn't necessarily have time to do it themselves. So what a social media manager does is maybe making the post, maybe scheduling the post. If there are multiple people involved, it may be making their schedules for when things need to be posted and making sure that everybody stays on track so that the schedule is kept. Now this could also be deciding which channels they're going to focus their attention on. Like for example, do they pull in the most business through Facebook or through Instagram, or maybe they're trying out TikTok or something like that. So you would really be one deciding when they're posting, what they're posting, and how often they're posting. And that leads into the third job, which is social media marketing. Again, huge buzzword. There are a bunch of questionable courses on social media marketing, but the point is knowing how to market is a very valuable skill and it's something that companies are willing to pay for. So when I'm talking about social media marketing, mostly what I'm talking about is running ads as well as sending email campaigns. Both are huge sources revenues for companies, and so that is what they focus a lot of their time and their budget on. So what you would need to learn for this is how to run Facebook ads, maybe how to run ads like Instagram or Snapchat. Then it would also be beneficial to learn how to run email campaigns, and there are a bunch of free platforms that you can do that on as well as paid platforms. And once you learn one, the rest are kind of similar. So one of the free ones that you can start out with is Mailchimp. That's what a lot of companies start out with at the beginning, or a lot of small businesses use, and it's pretty simple. It's like a drag and drop type program, and once you learn how to send effective emails, that is something that people are willing to pay a lot of money for. The next job is to be a freelance writer. Now if you're halfway decent at writing, for sure you can make more than $15 an hour. It's really hard to find a good writer, and if you're a good writer, please share your skills with the rest of us. This job can be especially good if you have any knowledge in a particular niche. So for example, you could be a finance writer, you could write about online businesses, or you could write about coaching. All three of those have picked up a lot in particularly. So those are just the ones that came to the top of my head with copyright jobs, especially with the posts that you see on Upwork. A lot of them are going to be for email campaigns, they'll be for landing pages, which is like that's the main page. So you land on when you are going to someone's website and they're trying to sell you a service. So if you're ever seen any of those coaching landing pages or even landing pages for courses, they hire people actually write that sales text that is trying to sell you their courses or their services or whatever else they're selling, but same thing goes for that. So you don't necessarily have to have a particular niche, but you can do copyright specifically for emails or specifically for landing pages or articles or whatever really interests. The next job is a virtual assistant, which is if you're already in any kind of online job, you may have heard of this. This is basically just a general term for someone online that's helping you to do whatever task you need. Virtual assistants can do a wide variety of things, but a lot of times it will involve some sort of customer service support. It may have to do with some of the other jobs that I've already mentioned, like scheduling social media posts. If it's for an e-commerce brand, it may have something like keeping their product listings up to date, keeping their sales page up to date, and things like that. It could also be listing data entry or really anything else that they need help with. For this one, maybe it may be $15 an hour, it may be a little bit lower and maybe a little bit higher. It really just depends on the client, and what they really need to do is the next job is to be a video editor, which I think a little bit more fun than some of the others. But even if you don't have a ton of experiences on editing videos, if you spend a day or two on YouTube looking up to tutorials, you can definitely learn enough to get started. And this is just really good skill to have, because so many people are trying to produce video content or add that to their content that they already produce. There are a ton of different people who are looking for video editors for their YouTube videos, for their Instagram or TikTok videos, or even for their online courses. So I just think that that's a good skill in general to have, but even better because you can also get paid for it. And the next job is kind of down the same path, is to do graphic design. So Photoshop and Illustrator are pretty much the industry standards for what professional graphic designers use, but there are also some free online alternatives like Canva that lets you make pretty good looking social media graphics and website graphics, different size banners, and they have templates that you can work off too. So that's not ideal necessarily, but you can definitely get started with that. And the next job requires a little bit more skill, or at least a little bit more time and effort on your part, is web developer or a web designer. So for this, you don't necessarily have to know like really intense coding or anything. If you learn how to use WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, or any of these platforms, you can build websites for people and you can change them for it, and you can probably make well over $15 an hour doing it. And this is another job where you may currently know how to build websites, but if you spend a week or two on YouTube and just googling things, you can definitely start out on one of those basic website builders. Like that's kind of a drag and drop situation, and build pretty decent website for people that they will pay you more than $15 an hour for. And you get more familiar with this, you can differently move into more complicated website builders that people will pay you even more for. So the ninth job is to teach English online. This has been around for a while, but especially now people are willing to pay a little bit more to get an online English tutor. So one particular program is called VIP Kids or VIP Kid. Through them, basically what you're doing is you're tutoring international kids. You are basically having basic conversations with them in English and teaching them simple terms and words and phrases, and then you move into later levels. You will be having full conversations conversations with them, practicing their sentence structure and things like that. And that's something that's pretty nice to have because it is your own schedule and you can open up time slots and you will be willing to teach at. And if there's something that you're interested in, I think that's like a whole English teaching side of YouTube where people have a lot of fun making like different props and stuff for their classes so differently. So go search for that stuff if teaching English online is something that you're interested in. And the last job is translation, which of course will not be applicable to everyone, but if you're lucky enough to grow up in a bilingual household or you're lucky enough to go to a school that actually put time into teaching you a language, then translation can be something that people are willing to pay actually a pretty good amount of money for, especially if you're completely fluent in 2 different languages. If we're able to translate things like medical documents or legal documents, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that complex. I know that a lot of people will pay to have their ebooks or their courses translated into other languages, so those are options as well. So hopefully this gave you a few ideas of jobs that you can start looking into. So if you have enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time.